We are at 49th and Loomis in the back of the yards neighborhood of Chicago. This was the neighborhood directly behind the old Union stockyards. Definitely a lot of labor strife happened in this neighborhood. To kind of paint the picture of the story I'm about to tell, you have to go back to about the 1880s. A wealthy industrial capitalist businessman from Chicago by the name of George Pullman, who is a pretty well-known name in Chicago, who invented the Pullman Palace sleeper car. And he builds an entire town of Pullman back then, eventually becomes a neighborhood of Pullman, where George had anything that like a perfect utopian company town would have. There were housing for his employees, the factories were there, he had schools, churches, grocery stores, entertainment venues, restaurants, and everybody said George made a good attempt at this perfect utopian town, but he took things a little too far. He required all of his employees to rent houses from him. They couldn't work for him if they didn't rent a house from him. So he got all the money back that he was paying you, he got it back in rent. He also controlled all the venues throughout the neighborhood. So again, all the money was funneling back to him. In 1894, production goes down in his company. He, to compensate, decides to cut everybody's wages. They said initially, people were okay with that because they also thought he was going to reduce rents and prices throughout the neighborhood. When that didn't happen, his railway workers went on strike. The strike dragged on for a while. Other railway workers heard about what was going on in Chicago. They joined in all across the country. Eventually, the Pullman Company tries to bring in strike-breaking workers. This eventually leads to Pullman riots. The Pullman riots are actually very legendary. One of the worst of the Pullman riots happened right down here at 49th and Loomis at this intersection. July 7th, 1894. Strikers were protesting here when a group of cavalrymen came up to try to break up the protest. They were met with being thrown rocks at them and also being shot at. They shot back into the crowd. Eventually, 4 people were killed. It was probably the bloodiest of the Pullman riots. Now, shortly after that, people started seeing the image of a man riding around in a ghostly man riding around on a horse without a head. I think we're all pretty familiar with the Washington Irving story of the headless horseman, which takes place in upstate New York. But this is Chicago's version of the headless horseman. He's been seen down under this bridge right here, which to me in itself, this bridge is just creepy to look at. He's also been seen up on top of the bridge. Now, when this strike happened, the train would have gone through here, but it would have been grade level. It wouldn't have been a raised, elevated tracks yet. And we have no record of a man being decapitated while riding a horse in this area, but stories have persisted for many years of seeing the headless horseman trot through here.